Welcome to Hold the Mayo.
Hold the Mayo.
We got
What's going on?
Sam the Man McMahon, and I'm Dan Gutierrez. To
IV.
IV, baby, always.
IV.
And today we have a special guest. We have Jordyn McMahon, who's going to help us get a
Yeah.
better understanding of anime and some Stranger Things. Anime has taken over the world.
Yeah.
Or I should say it's taken over the adolescent world because my daughter is the same way. She yells at me, screams at me, punches me when I call it cartoons. It's not
Yes.
cartoons, it's anime.
Yes. Yes. We'll get into that when she shows up, but yes.
Yep.
Absolutely yes.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
funny.
Yep. So definitely. So then we got and then Stranger Things as well. She's going to help us out with that when she comes in. But to get us kicked off, I'm going to share a little bit about myself because Sammy was asking. What were you asking, Sammy?
I want to know how you got into acting.
Okay. So here's the details, Sammy. COVID impacted my life, just like it impacted everybody, right? But for me, what it gave me the opportunity to do was to kind of sit down and put pen to paper, and because I always joked around, I always have funny things, stupid things, whatever you want to call it, here and there, but nothing was
Yeah.
ever kind of like concrete. So Netflix was dead. Like TV was like dead. It felt like because there were no new shows coming out because everyone was scared to leave their house. So I had the opportunity at that point to start kind of jotting down my ideas, my jokes, my stories, whatever you want to call them, and I wrote them all up and I started recording them, and put them on YouTube and practicing them a little bit. Summer of 21, right? We're a little bit in.
That sounds
Um,
right.
Yeah, we're a little bit in. I think we're starting to get vaccinated around that time. It's all a blur. My
Oh,
daughter,
you got the jab, you got the poke.
yeah, I got three of them. Really? Wait a minute. Okay. So my daughter had a dance thing. She got accepted to Joffrey School of Ballet in New York City, and we made plans to be there for 2 weeks. In the first week that I was there, what I did was I reached out to a couple of different comedy um, houses, I guess, or comedy clubs in New York. There's actually a lot of them in New York compared to here
All
in
right.
Florida. I don't know how Dallas, Texas area is, but I reached around and I found someone who said that, yeah, we're doing open mic. So it was an open mic. So I went in and I did a live 5 minute open mic set in front of a crowd of like 30 people, so not massive by any means. And that was kind of the first performance, to say, I guess, of anything I've ever done, anything, anywhere, right?
Yeah. That took guts, man.
It 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 did, but I'll be honest with you, it was actually a lot easier than most people would think because when I was up on stage, there's the spotlight shining down on me right in my eyes. So I couldn't even
Yeah,
see
you
it, the
can say
crowd
that.
at all. So it was just like I was in there reciting lines to myself. So it took courage to get up there, but once I was up there, I was like, whoa, this is cake because I can't even see anybody in here. I can't see if they're laughing at me or laughing at the jokes. I can hear their reactions, but I can't see their facial expressions so much, with the exception of like one or two people that were kind of like in the very front. But that was the first thing I did, and it kind of like was the catalyst, I guess, to use a fancy word. I don't know if that's a fancy word. That kind of peeled away any fear that I had of doing anything in public, I guess, which is a good and bad thing because I do a lot of bad things now, kind of.
No.
So when we got home from that trip, I then started looking online and said, well, you know what? If I can do the comedy, I can do the acting stuff, which I've wanted to do in the past before. I just never had the opportunity to do it. I started looking around online and I just happened to stumble across um, someone who was, I guess, recruiting actors, writers, animation people because he was developing a pilot for a Nickelodeon cartoon. I can't give all the details, obviously, because I sent an NDA. So I sent him my information. I made a resume. I said, "Here's what I've done. I performed live. I did these old videos at my old job, right? I didn't really have like any actual experience on my acting resume
Right.
that would qualify me for anything. But he gave me a call, and then I auditioned with him, and he brought me in, and he cast me as the lead role, not the lead role, the lead villain's role for this series. It's still in the process of being pitched to Nickelodeon. They're actually going to be pitching early in June. I don't have the exact date, and then we'll get a thumbs up or a thumbs down from Nickelodeon. But because they had one they had one theme. It was going to be like a spin-off sequel of a prior cartoon. And Nickelodeon said they didn't want us to do
A
that.
prior what?
A prior cartoon, a prior
Cartoon.
anime. I don't know what it's called anymore.
Anime.
We'll get more detail on that. But Nickelodeon said no to that because they didn't want to interfere with that IP. But they said they absolutely loved all the characters, the ideas, the concepts, everything that was kind of lined up. So so they're pitching that. Once that happens, and I'll hear back as soon as I hear back and have an official yes, no, or whatever. I'll definitely share that with everybody. But once that kind of happened, then I kind of like just started. It just started like the ripple effect, right? So then I started auditioning or trying to audition for different things, to the point where I found a lady who was doing making her own type of videos that are kind of like moral themes. Definitely small
Oh,
scale,
yeah.
and you've seen some of those, right? Definitely small scale, but kind of in line with. There's a real popular guy out there called Darman. He makes like a video every day or publishes it. So kind of that type of thing. And I ended up doing like 4 or 5 videos with her while still looking for other things. Come January, I said, well, I need to kind of take this to the next step. So I didn't have an agent yet, but what I ended up doing was I just took a couple of selfies with my phone and just started shooting them out to different agencies. And one of them said, hey, we'll bring you in, but you need to do this, this, and this, right? So I signed up with them, signed the 2-year contract, and they said, what we need you to do now that you're part of our agency is we're going to send you a list of 4 or 5 different photographers. You do get professional shots, professional headshots, because you're not going to get any work in this industry unless you have professional shots. One, because I take shitty headshots, and 2, my headshots look like shit. So no one's going to take me serious, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So the first, that was in January. So January, February, March, they were submitted me, but nobody was giving me a chance, opportunity to call back anything. I went and I got my headshots in early March, sent them in. There was a little bit of process. So like the middle towards the end of March, I sent them in to my agent. My agent posted them, and literally it felt like it was the next day. I started getting callbacks and audition requests from this mostly commercial stuff, but from people that were booking commercials.
That's cool.
So
Well,
it's all taken off from there. That's basically the story.
that's awesome, man. And you got to be in a movie with, or maybe in a show or whatever with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, yeah. So so there's a movie on Apple TV. I don't know when it's going to be released. It is posted on IMDb. A lot of the plot information is secret, but I can tell you what I know. What I know is that they made me dress up like someone from the early to mid '60s, and everyone did. I had to get a haircut, and I had to wear a hard hat. So I don't know why I got a haircut, and my pants were up over my waist. So that's basically kind of the time the time that the movie takes place.
Yeah.
But Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum, Woody Harrelson, Ray Romano are my co-stars.
That's
I'm
your co-stars.
yeah. No, I'm exaggerating. I'll be background. You might be able to see my left toe in one of the shots. If I
Right.
see it, I'll let you know because I know the scenes that I was in. I was in 2 different scenes, so I'll keep an eye out for my foot or my leg or my arm or something and let you guys
That's
know.
awesome, dude. Well, good luck, dude.
Thanks, man. So,
All right.
yeah, so we'll take a quick break, and then when we get back, we're gonna talk about some Stranger Things.
Really? You're eating Doritos? He's eating Doritos on my ultrasound. Do you see what I have to do? I know. Give me that.
All right. So this week, and hopefully not only this week, we have a special guest. We have Jordyn McMahon joining us directly from, I forget what school, some school in Texas. I don't know.
Texas State University.
There you go. So without further ado, I'll give you Jordyn McMahon. Give her a minute to introduce you guys, to introduce yourself to all you guys, and then we'll get into our topic. So Jordyn, you have the mic. Who are you?
Hi, guys. I'm Jordyn McMahon, and if you haven't figured it out by now, just by looking at me, I am Sam's daughter.
That's right, baby. She's my
Can't
offspring.
deny me at all.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm 20. I go to Texas State here in San Marcos. I'm sorry, I sound horrible right now. I don't usually sound like this. I have caught a cold in
COVID.
the midst of, you're hilarious. I have caught a cold in the midst of finals week. So,
So
I
Jordyn,
hope you feel better, honey.
thanks.
yeah,
Fine.
everybody watching is gonna comment that they hope you feel better as soon as possible. Jordyn, I would never in a million years think that you're Sam's daughter. I
No.
think I told him this in the past. Thank God that you came out looking like your mom and not Sam. I don't know if I could handle looking at you if you had a beard on your face.
Trust me, I thank God as well. I thank God as well. She's a good kid. I'm proud of her.
Yes, I've only heard good things. We need to corrupt you a little bit. I heard you were thinking about going to UCF. I don't know what happens. Disney does have a very lucrative college program that Sammy wants you to go to.
No.
Which I have
Shut up,
actually,
dude.
I've talked to him about applying to it, and he's told
Shut
me several
up.
times, don't. So,
I won't spoil it. I did not go to the college program, but I did work at Disney, so I know what goes on there. In all fairness, it is a very, very, very educational experience for all the people
Shut
that
up.
go into it. I promise you, Sammy, it is. They will work their asses off. That's and in more ways than one.
Yeah.
I've actually had friends who do the college experience, and I see on like their social media that they're just having the time of their life.
Oh, I'm
Like,
sure
it's
they
2
are.
p.m. on a Wednesday, and they're riding like Big
Okay.
Thunder Mountain. Like, I want to do
Right.
that.
The college program is strange, but what we want to talk about, Jordyn, you're the expert, is what I hear. We want to hear a little bit about Stranger Things. There's how many seasons have gone by? Is it 5, I think?
There's 4. Season 5 is actually start to set filming in early June in Atlanta.
She knows the stuff.
Oh, I know it like the back of my hand.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, don't forget, I'm an actor. I know this stuff too. They just don't want me on their sets.
All right.
So
So, all right. So, Jordyn, kiddo, we know your love for Joseph Quinn. Look at her face blush. We know your love for Joe Keery. Look at her there. Yeah, there we go. So tell us some fan theories about what's gonna happen in season 5, and then what you think is actually gonna happen in season 5.
So, a very popular fan theory, its important context is that in season 4, a new character named Eddie Munson was introduced. He's kind of like a freak. He runs the Hellfire Club, which is the D&D club at Hawkins High School, and he was sort of dragged into like the big boss battle essentially of the entire show with Vecna, who actually runs the entire Upside Down.
Coolest scene in the show, by the way.
Yes, he ends up
Coolest
playing Metallica in the Upside Down to fend off things. You can Google that. One of my favorite scenes in the entire show. But he actually, unfortunately, ends up dying in the last episode. I think it was very easy to see it coming, but it still hurt all the same. But a popular fan theory is that he will actually be resurrected as a character named Cass from the D&D universe.
Jordyn, I'm
Who's
gonna stop you real quick. Only because what was his name again? I'm a horrible remembering characters' names. What's his name?
Eddie.
Eddie Munson. I love the character. When he died, my wife's eyes got watery. I'll tell you that. How about you? Did you go the same way?
What happened in that moment where he died is between me and God. Like, I was a wreck.
Dude, no lie. They were watching upstairs and I was downstairs because I wasn't caught up on everything yet. That happened, and I found out it happened after being able to watch it. I was able to piece together when that was, and all I heard her yell was "No!"
I couldn't believe it either. I was like, because he was a very, very he was an important character for sure, but he was also very liked, I think, as they kind of got a couple episodes into it. So I was drawn in, and I was crushed when it happened.
Yeah, they built him up to be a very light and lovable character. And the Stranger Things writers are very notorious for creating a lovable character and then killing them off in the series. So in season 1, there's Barb. Season 2 was Bob. Season 3 was Alexi. And now season 4 was Eddie. So terrified to see what season 5 holds. But
they're all going to die in season 5.
Well, didn't they say that they're not introducing any new characters in season 5?
Yeah, they actually did say that they're not introducing any new characters in season 5. There have been hints that they'll bring in characters that have been mentioned in the series but not seen. Like, there are a few theories floating around that they're going to bring in Steve's parents.
Ah, cool.
But no, like, new name characters.
Who do you think dies? Please say Will.
I've
Kill that
seen
kid off.
a lot of theories. From what I've seen, I can pretty confidently say that I think 11 is going to die.
Okay.
Which
That'll
I
hurt.
don't know how I feel about that. But initially, I did think Will was going to die just because it would seem sort of... You need to leave Will Byers alone, first of all.
That dude.
He has, like,
down.
a very powerful hate for Will just because of his hair.
Oh my gosh.
So,
he's annoying. All he
yeah.
does is whine.
He's got the bowl
No.
cut.
Oh my gosh, you try being traumatized as a 12-year-old and then being resurrected and put through all this BS again.
Hey,
For 4
been there,
seasons.
done that. Been there, done that. I came out just fine.
Barry, you're lucky that your daughter is not in the
Got
room
that.
with you, because I can see her punching you through the screen.
I know, right? She's 4 hours away. I can do this.
Safety of distance. It's awesome. So, so 11 dying, I think, actually makes sense to me from a fan theory perspective, because how else do you wrap up a season that, like, has supernatural, like, people, right?
Right.
So I would say it would be 11 and Vecna. They both die in battle, and that's kind of how you end the show.
Yeah.
Well, the deal with Cass is in the D&D lore, Cass kills Vecna.
Yeah, in the D&D lore, Cass is actually, this isn't like the show, this is the lore of the game itself. Cass is an undead soldier who gets killed by vampiric bats and then resurrected as Vecna's right-hand man and ends up killing Vecna.
And how did Eddie die?
And Eddie got killed by being essentially eaten alive by the bats in the Upside Down. So
and his tattoo?
Yeah, and
Right?
on his forearm, he does have bats up his arm as a tattoo. So they're very heavy references, but just because the Stranger Things writers do tend to lean more in the direction of shocking the fans, I'd honestly be surprised if that came true. Like, I want it to so bad, but the Duffer Brothers are very, very adamant about surprising the fans, and I think the cast theory on various social media platforms has been kind of exhausted, and they know that it's out there. They've made references to it on Twitter, and so I will actually be meeting Joseph Quinn, the actor of Eddie Munson, on June 8th.
So we're going to be meeting Eddie while they're filming.
But it is confirmed that filming will not wrap until June 2024. So
Really?
unless he keeps on confirming cons every month, that leaves plenty of time for him to go out to Atlanta and film.
Wow. So then what they're going to incorporate somehow is a little bit of a time jump too, because if you film June of 24, that's over a year from now that they'll be wrapping up, right? So they want some of their crew to maybe grow a little bit more facial hair, maybe go through a little bit of the little bit more about the testosterone change, and then put them like a grade or two up. Let's see if that's what they do.
Yeah, it is confirmed that there's going to be a time jump between season 4 and season 5. We just don't know how long it's going to be.
See,
Cool.
I didn't even do any research. I just
You
guessed that
called
based
it.
on what off the yeah. I know what they're doing. I'm an actor. The reason I think I started watching Stranger Things for me was because of the throwbacks. It all takes place in like the mid to late 80s, I guess. Ghostbusters, I think, was the thing that kind of drew me in was when they were trick-or-treating and they were dressed up like the Ghostbusters. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. I loved it. And that's what got me hooked on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the show at first. It took years for me to get into the show. It just seemed basic and meh. And then so literally she made me watch the first season, and I think it took us like 2.5 years to get through like a season and a half.
Well,
and then
that makes sense, Sammy. I've seen how you work, so
yeah, well, but once about midway through season 2, it just picks up steam and never stops. And so it took me like 2.5 years to watch a season and a half, and it took me about 2.5 weeks to finish the rest of the entire show.
It's like that old joke, Sammy. You're so dumb. It takes you 2 hours to watch 60 minutes. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. I don't know what's on the hopper for commercials, and we'll be right back after that to talk about cartoons or anime or whatever it's called. I don't know.
Comienza la temporada cuando la temperatura cambia un poquito y empiezas a sacar años de memorias y alegría navideña. Sale la cazuela y el olor del lechón llena el aire. En Pollo Tropical, tus tradiciones también son las nuestras, como las masitas de puerco. Te traemos esa comida casera de tu cocina a la nuestra. Deja que nuestra familia cocine para tu familia en Pollo Tropical.
We're back, and Jordyn is our residential cartoon fan in the house.
Ooh. Try again.
Yeah. So no, anime exploding mainstream. And as a kid, I watched Star Blazers. I watched Voltron, loved them. And I didn't know necessarily what anime was. I just knew that they were a different type of cartoon than what, was on Saturday mornings or whatever. But so Jordyn and I go to Comic-Cons and stuff like that. And I mean, thousands and thousands of people there. And at least half of them are dressed up all in anime gear. And if you remove the anime out of the Comic-Cons, there probably wouldn't be much of one. That is that big. Anime has blown up to like $22.8 billion industry in the United States, projecting to like $40 billion by 2030. And it's millennials and actually men who are driving it. So I want to hear from a anime fan, because I don't really, I make fun of her a little bit just to rib her because I'm her dad. But talk to us about anime. Talk to us about how big it is. Talk to us why you like it.
Oh my gosh. I got into anime when I think I was about 13 years old, which feel old because now I'm 20. So I've been watching anime for 7 years.
Was that the skating one? Ice skating one?
No. No.
Okay.
That was my second anime.
Okay.
I need names. I need names because my daughter has watched a bunch of them, and they have
Yuri on Ice.
Yeah, Dad is talking about Yuri on Ice. My first anime was actually Ouran High School Host Club. It was an old one. I think it was it was animated in late 90s, early 2000s.
Jordyn, I'm gonna have to cut you off. You got strike one. There are no dads in this room. There's Dan and Sammy and you. There are no dads here. Continue. You got a strike, but continue.
Sorry. Sammy's teasing me about Yuri on Ice. Yeah, and as time goes on, I think a common misconception is that anime is only for kids. That's sort of a very big theme that I've dealt with people who refuse to watch it because it is Japanese cartoons, but it's anime is the genre. It is certainly not for kids. My all-time favorite is Attack on Titan, and that is probably one of the, if not the best piece of modern fiction I have ever read or
Giant
watched.
naked babies.
No, I am an English major, so I know my literature. I
My
know my
son-
Naked
literature.
babies.
My
Cannibal
son
babies.
my son says Attack on Titan is the best show of all time.
It is.
I tell him it's Breaking Bad. The only reason Attack on Titan is such a high rating is because the only people who are voting for it are the people who watch Attack on Titan. I'm not taking anything away from the show. I wouldn't say it's better than Breaking Bad.
Well, I think you
Slightly
actually have
different.
to watch the show, not throwing any shade at you, but maybe a little bit. I think you actually have to watch it because as you watch it, you get more and more confused. But as soon as something is resolved, everything in the past makes sense. And especially in season 4. Wait, are we in season 4? Yeah, season 4. Everything from the past is kind of coming to a head and everything is explaining itself. And it's so complicated and so intertwined in such a genius way that
But what's so enticing about it all? It just seems like a bunch of kids yelling, not just Attack on Titan, but Bingo Bongo and
what is Bingo Bongo?
oh,
Bongo Stray Dogs?
Bongo Stray
Just making
Dogs.
stuff
Yeah.
up. Just make them up, Sammy. Hunter, I know there's a
That's my
there's
second.
Hunter Cross Hunter. There's the one when they haiku.
I've
like
actually watched all of those.
Yes, so has my daughter because they put them on like Hulu or something, and she just spent hours, not hours, excuse me, days and days and months and months and months, and it feels like a year. And she watched the volleyball one, the basketball one, the whatever one, the Hunter Cross Hunter.
Yeah,
and
actually just Hunter Hunter. You don't pronounce the X.
Well, I said Hunter Cross Hunter because I was educated that it's.
Hunter.
I give myself a strike. Okay.
Yeah.
I give you a cross.
I don't know. I don't even know how to explain how enticing it is. It's something about, honestly, the way the characters act and the way the characters move. It's one thing for me is it's important which perspective the story is told from, because if it's told from like an outside perspective, that's not as enticing. Like I've dropped animes because of that, but if it's told from the mind of a character, then it gives you a greater insight and sees how those characters work. It's basically reading a book but watching it, if that makes any sort of sense.
So that makes total sense. That sounds just like something that I would want to do as a teen. I did watch Dragon Ball Z. I think I saw every single episode of it. I was probably in my early 20s when I watched it, however. But if I don't have to read and I can just watch a movie, that's all me. That's all me. So Jordyn, I want to take this conversation in a slightly different direction. Sammy did mention a minute ago that it's a $22 billion industry. I've seen the impact of that on my wallet, my pocketbook. My daughter's room is littered with anime figurines that cost way more. I don't think this is one, but stupid little things like this, they cost way more than what you think you'd want to pay. Like if this was an anime toy, this would be like $25, and this is like 10 cents of plastic for me. Do you have the same problem with? I don't know if for you it's not a problem. Sammy would be a problem.
Yes.
Do you have the same issue in your room going on?
I absolutely do. You can't see it right now, but actually to the left of me, I have my nerd wall. It's filled with Funko Pops. Currently it's Stranger Things, but I do rotate them out. And and behind me, I do have 2 Attack on Titan ones that I just recently bought. But I have spent an ungodly amount of money getting merch.
That's awesome.
Sammy is nodding his head saying, "Oh yeah, she has."
Oh yeah, yep.
Sammy
I believe it. Why don't you? Can you tilt your camera over to the side, or is there something you don't want Sammy to see?
I can. My settee is like really.
I know what it looks like. I helped set it up.
Yeah, it's filled with sort of all the Funko Pops and memorabilia, and then behind me, it's flattering angle. I actually do have Miss Mika from Attack on Titan, brand new release. Retail is $12. Spent $35 on her.
I will say, when we go to Comic-Cons and stuff, the amount of stuff that is there is just outrageous. There wouldn't be a shopping pavilion without anime. but the artwork, not anything that I'd ever put, in my upstairs or in my room and stuff, but it really is fascinating.
I don't really have artistic talent like that. So to see somebody be able to bring these characters who are otherwise 2D and bring them into like a different sort of scenario and bring them into a different light, it's just so fascinating to me. And I want to be able to display my love for all these things.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I make fun of it. And honestly, when she was a kid, my worry was because it seemed, this isn't the nicest way to put it, but just seemed like a lot of weirdos watched it. And I didn't want her to be kind of the weirdo. But as
Sammy,
over time,
Sammy, really, so that really was your concern, was her watching those cartoons and becoming a weirdo, not hanging around her dad?
Yeah, well, I didn't quite have my eye on the right prize, but no, I mean, it's just I didn't want her just to be that weird kid, because life is just harder that way sometimes. But the more and more I saw of her, she got into it, and some of her friends got into it, and there's a fine line in any kind of hobby that you have between enjoying it and being obsessed with it. And I in anything, I don't want obsession is bad, and I just didn't necessarily want that for it. And as a young teenager, it's easy to kind of get obsessed with things, but before you even know it. And I just didn't want that for her. That's just a parenting thing. But as she's gotten older, and a lot of her friends, a lot of adults still watching this stuff, it's impressive to me how much mainstream the stuff has really become.
It's definitely more mainstream than I ever thought. And Sammy, thank you so much for your Jerry Springer moment. All right, so I think we talked a lot about cartoons. I mean, anime. Jordyn, I'll give you one last shout out. What's your absolute favorite anime? If you could watch it over and over and over again, what would it be?
My absolute favorite anime is Attack on Titan, and I wish I could rewatch it for the first time all over again.
Giant naked babies.
Father.
All right.
Sorry, Sammy.
There are no fathers here. That's strike two. All right, so we're going to take our last break, and then when we come back, Sammy and I are going to do a quick rapid fire. Jordyn, if you've never been fired from a job, you are excluded, and you can take the rest of your time and go do some homework or something.
Oh, okay.
All right, good luck.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me on here.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
hope to be back soon.
All right, yes, definitely. It was fun for sure.
It was fun. Thank you guys so much.
See ya.
Love you, kiddo.
Love you.
Bye.
Oh.
When you get a restyled Honda CRV, you get more. You get a set of wheels that helps you go farther with less. A better view of your surroundings. And you're getting Motor Trend's 2015 Sport Utility of the Year. So visit your local Honda dealer today.
We are back. And better than ever. Thanks, Mike Greeny. So anyways, we are going to do a quick rapid fire, and we're going to talk about our best firings, or I guess worst firings from jobs that we've held in the past. And I'll go first. Sammy's going to round it out with what he's got. My best firing is, I used to work at a place in Kissimmee called $1 Million Mulligan. It no longer exists. It was a pitch and putt par 3 course. It had 40 to 50 yard holes. And I worked there 2 summers as the guy who picked up the golf balls, because there was a $1 million contest, and there was balls all over the place that had to be picked up. And what happens, the reason I got fired from this was because it was a place where it wasn't a busy job for me, and I had friends that would often come over and hang out with me. And one day we took one of the golf carts, because we were big enough that we had golf carts. We took the golf cart out on the course. It was nighttime. It was kind of moist out. The grass had kind of gotten dewy. It was nice and wet. And I didn't know any better at the time, obviously, but we were driving the golf cart through the course. And at one point, I thought it would be fun if I let my buddy drive and I hung onto the back like I was water skiing. So the next morning when the grounds crew came in, they saw the course completely torn up.
Dang,
I got a call at 8 o'clock in the morning from the dude that hired me. And he said, Dan, it's been cool, but we got to let you go. You tore up the course. We don't need you here anymore. If you could top that, go for it. Go.
I can't top that. We'll I have other stories that may top that, but I can't top that. No, I've been fired twice from jobs. I worked at a batting cage, putt, go-kart type of thing in high school. And there was a manager there named Stephanie. I called her big hair Stephanie. And in the 90s, they had the big old fluffy Texas hair and everything. I just called her big haired Stephanie. And she and I did not get along. And I was working one night. And I really don't remember what prompted us, but we always butted heads. And I'm kind of a stubborn guy as it is. And I have a smart mouth. And yeah. And sometimes my smart mouth is really dumb. And we got into it. And I slammed some chili, like hot dog chili, in the vat, and it kind of splattered all over the place. And she didn't like it. And I said, well, too bad. I got to clean up anyway. It's not that big of a deal. And I kind of said it basically in that tone. And she didn't appreciate my tone. And she told me to leave. I said, what, are you firing me? She says, yeah, I'm firing you. I said, no, you ain't. I quit.
Sammy, I'll tell you, you got fired. You can't quit after you get fired. You got fired. That's all we got for you today. We're wrapping this up. We're going to shoot you guys out. And we'll see you next week on Hold the Mayo, baby.
Happy trails.
See ya.
The one with the superpower, I don't know.
I'm in college. I know what's happening.
Record all this crap, and then I go back and I fix it. So